What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Adam and Steve Show. And I'm Steve,
And I'm Adam.
and I can't see it. And we're back. It's 2023 now, and we're here to talk movies. And the best thing to talk about right away is we got news about this guy. Oops, this guy, Jason Voorhees. He's getting new movies finally because that stupid ass lawsuit is at least somewhat figured out at the most part. I'm pretty sure Victor Miller, the writer, is doing a series on Peacock with NBC and all that kind of stuff, doing a little prequel series about Jason Voorhees and stuff. But the other news that we just got is that Sean S. Cunningham, the original director of Friday the 13th, is making his own movie. And it's not really determined what it's going to be yet, but it's either going to be a sequel to the original if the rights are still muddy, or it's going to be a remake and kind of reboot of that original series. So I'm a huge fan. I'm excited. Either way, like the prequel series, I'm gonna watch it. Whatever Friday the 13th we get, I'm gonna watch it because I love the stuff so much. And Adam, what do you think?
I will be there day one. I don't know how I feel about the original director coming back, but because I would like them to go in a different direction. I actually really enjoyed the Friday the 13th movie from like 2009.
Yes.
That was
Yeah,
my first time watching it recently, and I had a great time with it. And I just thought that like it was like a Michael Bay produced one, if I'm not correct.
it is Platinum Dunes, and it's the same people that did like the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the early 2000s. And unfortunately, I think they were even behind the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot, which that is an atrocity. And
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think Sean S. Cunningham is gonna necessarily come back in the director's chair. I think he's just kind of like produce and whatnot because he also has another series called House that he wants to reboot as well. That he was kind of the main person behind. But yeah, especially because the first Friday the 13th. I mean, you could look at my ranking I just put up last Friday the 13th a couple weeks ago now. I did not rate that even in the top five, I don't think. So it's not that great of a movie, but it spawned a great franchise that I personally love. So I'm excited. But yeah, if he's directing, I would definitely be a little hesitant, especially because I don't even know the last thing he actually directed since like
Mm-hmm.
probably the 80s or 90s, I would assume. I don't think he's directed anything in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm. I have a theory about why we're hearing this news now. So there's a horror movie coming up this year called Scream 6, if I'm
Mhm.
correct. Just so annoying because the last one was just called Scream, and like,
Well, I do agree because I think it should have been called Five Cream. That's just me. But I do understand why they named it Scream, just because they're trying to play on the whole meta joke like Scream has always done, and they're making fun of all the different Halloween that came out with a sequel that's just called Halloween, but it's technically a sequel to the first Halloween movie, and all
mm,
the different sequel legacy sequels that just use the same name over again. So that's kind of what they were doing there, and I understand it, but yeah, Five
mm.
Cream would have been better. But yeah, Scream 6. What do you have to say about that?
Because Jason Takes Manhattan is the first movie that everyone thought about when we hear the concept for this new Scream movie, and a new trailer just recently came out for the new Scream movie that comes out in just 2 months. That's pretty ironic timing for them to announce a Friday the 13th reboot. And if you listen in the Scream trailer, someone else found this, it wasn't me, but you hear the right around the title drop, you hear the and like maybe that's just a nod, but like I wouldn't put it past them if they maybe did some kind of a Freddy versus Jason type thing.
As much as I would love that, I don't see it happening just because Scream
Mm-hmm.
is just such a person and Friday the 13th has become a supernatural being with Jason, but that
Mm-hmm.
would be dope. And the funny part about this so far with Scream 6 is I think there's already more in that trailer in New York than anything in Jason Takes Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Because all you get in
Yeah.
New York in that is like a little bit of him walking through the fake downtown strip that I'm pretty sure is actually in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely one of my least favorite Scream movies. Not Scream, Friday the 13th movies. But I'm open to it as long as it's fun and keeps the spirit of the original movie, or if it does something new, that's fine too. I mean, we've seen so many Friday the 13th movies that I would be surprised if someone was like, "Wow, you're ruining the legacy." Like, it's like a B horror franchise, so like I can't really see them ruining it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be pretty hard, especially if they can stay true, put enough money in to do like the practical effects that people loved so much in the 80s. I think it could be really fun to go back and visit and bring that new life into horror that you haven't really seen, because like all of the new horror is kind of more like psychological, kind of talking about the different mental type of things in horror, I guess, but just doing all that campy stuff, you don't really get it that often anymore. And I think Friday the 13th is the franchise to kind of bring that more goofy side of horror back to the limelight.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and I'll be there for it. I'm excited.
Same.
Awesome, yeah. Another news, we it's award season this time of year, so let's talk about a hot topic today, which is how do you feel about the Razzies as a thing?
You know, I don't ever really pay attention to them that much. When they come
Mhm.
around, I'll like look at it just to see what got nominated sometimes, but it doesn't really have too much of an effect on me. I think it's more of a joke more than anything, and that I think people should laugh at.
Mhm. No, it's a completely a bit, and like I'm bringing it up because it bothered me today that everyone was like, "Oh my gosh!" Once again, the Razzies strike, and they're more mean spirited than ever. And the thing they're really upset about is they nominated the 12-year-old girl from Firestarter, and her name is Ryan Kiera Armstrong.
I don't know. It's a complicated situation that I guess I can see both sides, but at the end of the day, I see it as more of a joke than anything.
Yeah, I think it's a joke. And the remember when Halle Berry won a Razzie and she actually like showed up, which never happens, but she actually like showed up and accepted the Razzie. Like I
Yeah.
have so much respect for her for having a sense of humor about herself and about that role. And it's just like if you show that something hurts you, people are going to keep doing it. Like I bet they thought about this. They probably had a little meeting and they were like, "Oh man, if we nominate this child, people are gonna be more outraged." And I don't know. She got her money and she got paid and she was in a bad movie and
Well,
that stinks. That's part of it. You give up a certain amount of privacy when you star in a large summer blockbuster like Firestarter.
and the internet reacting like this, like they're only gonna make that situation worse.
Yeah,
Because I
because I wouldn't even have
guarantee,
noticed. We talked about this on the show. Blonde leads the Razzies in nominations, and I loved Blonde, and I'm still like, great, good. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's right up there with Morbius. I saw Jared Leto even got one too, and the whole, yeah, that's, I don't even
Mm-hmm.
understand. I forgot that movie came out last year. I think it like pushed
Mm-hmm.
it out of my brain.
Yeah, my favorite nomination overall was worst screen couple, which they get a little bit like abstract with this because they don't really do like an actual couple. Like one of them's Tom Hanks and his latex laden face and ludicrous accent, which I love that performance. It's maybe my favorite supporting actor performance of the year because I love Elvis so much. And even I'm able to be like, yeah, it's very goofy and very like partly I'm laughing at it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And I also
Just
think that in that latex, like I feel like Tom Hanks is kind of laughing at the same time too. He's laughing with us.
mhm,
Like he knows it's goofy as hell.
yeah, but my favorite one is Andrew Dominic and his issues with women. That made me laugh out loud because it just really comes across in that movie like he has such a disdain for
Or
for Marilyn Monroe and women in general.
yeah, he did
Uh,
not like Marilyn Monroe and her promiscuous ways and pop culture is what it really felt like at the end of the day.
mhm. But the worst picture nominees we have Blonde, Robert Zemeckis' Pinocchio, Good Morning, the movie with Machine Gun Kelly, The King's Daughter, which I actually heard wasn't that bad. Did you see that one?
I don't think
It
so.
went to theaters, and everyone I talked to that saw it was like, yeah, it was fine. But and then Morbius. So which one of those five are you pulling for to win worst picture?
So if I had seen Good Morning, I'd probably be picking that. But since I didn't really actually, and Pinocchio I'd never watched because Guillermo del Toro's came out, and I just watched that instead and had a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the ones I've seen, I'd probably have to pick Morbius just because, again, like I just told you, it kind of fell out of my brain immediately when I saw it because no impact on my life whatsoever. It was just a boring 2 hours that I will not get back.
I'm actually going to defend Morbius in this scenario. It's bad, but I don't think it's like the worst thing ever. Like everyone said, like Generally, in like sports shows, they'll be like player resumes. Here's two players and their stats, and they're pretty similar. And it turns out one's like Aaron Rodgers, and the other one's like, someone really like terrible. I don't want to call
Brock
out someone's.
Osweiler.
Yeah, like Brock Osweiler. And like, if you did the same thing but with Morbius and Venom, they're the same. This is the same picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time, I would rewatch Venom a million times before I'd ever rewatch Morbius. Although I do own Morbius.
Oh yeah, I do too. That was one of my Blu-rays on Black Friday that I specifically targeted because it's infamous. And we sit here and we joke about how awful Morbius is, like the entire year. It's an iconic meme. And now at the end of the year, it gets nominated for a bunch of Razzies, and we're like, wow, that's mean. These people really worked hard on this. And it's like, have a sense of humor about it. Like worst movies of the year lists they're all in good fun. You know what I mean? Like I make a worst movie of the year list, and I'm not doing it to be like, hey, screw all these people. I do it because I love movies so much, and honestly, this year it's going to be more of like a movies that disappointed me because no one wants to make a list and it's like a bunch of Walmart horror movies that like no one knows about.
Because I
That
could
are awful.
I could do that all day because I saw Hallmark Christmas movies this
Oh
year.
yeah.
I saw lots of just fucking dog shit.
Like I'm gonna more so have stuff like Jurassic World Dominion, like stuff that was high profile and bad. Which I'd rather rewatch Jurassic World Dominion than any Walmart horror movie. But it's a popular movie and people care about it, so I want to talk about it.
Yeah, I've actually I've been against the bottom 10 list for a long time, kind of because
Mm-hmm.
of what you were saying, but what you said right there kind of makes me change my mind about it because the high profile ones that are supposed to be these big blockbuster like Jurassic World Dominion, those are the kind of movies that do need to be talked about just to say that even though they made so much money, they're not good movies. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the kind of lists that do need to be made, not like the ones that are like, oh, this movie was made for $2 million and everyone hates it. You don't really need to dunk on a movie that no one's watching. That's my
Mm-hmm.
opinion when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like don't shit on something that doesn't need to be shit on.
Yeah, like The King's Daughter. Like why are we being so mean to this like nothing movie that nobody saw? I genuinely hope Blonde wins Worst Picture.
Yeah, deservedly so. Yeah, I mean, that is one movie that like I just felt disgusting watching. Like
Mhm.
Morbius, yeah, for what it
Yeah.
is, it was boring, but yeah, Blonde is just it's just wrong in many, many ways.
Mhm. Uh, so speaking of awards, unless did you have anything else you want to say about the Razzies?
Mm-mm.
Speaking of awards season, tomorrow morning at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, which in Central Time it's an hour earlier, right? So it's like 7:30. You're in Central Time.
Nah, bro, we're in the same time zone.
We're in the same time zone.
Yeah, it's 11
Gosh,
10.
I'm learning about time zones today. So are you going to wake up at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow, or would you already be up by that
I'm
time?
unfortunately I wake up super early, so I'll be up.
So tomorrow's my day off, and I'm going to wake up at 8:30 a.m., throw on Disney Plus, and watch the nominations. And if you had to pick one thing that you want, like a dream come true nomination, what are we hoping for here?
Hmm.
Like for example, I love Elvis and Austin Butler, and I want him to win, but I'm not going to pick that because like he's going to get nominated. You know what I mean? More,
Yeah.
more so of a like a long shot thing.
Let me think just real quick. Let me think of my top 10 just to think about it.
And
You know
while
what would
you do
be
that, I'll say a couple. I really am hoping. I know it won't happen because I've heard that apparently India is not backing it, but I want RRR to get a Best Picture nomination.
yes, that would be well deserved and honestly just such an awesome thing. I hope it at least takes home some awards for sure. Like especially
Natu
best
Natu.
yes, best song. If it wins best song, I will be so happy because I was shocked that it won it at the Golden Globes. Is that correct?
Yes, it did. I jumped up and cheered.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And it's one of those songs that literally is just like you want to get up and dance. And it's unlike a lot of movies, like I think I heard somebody else talk about this, but a lot of the best picture or the best songs at the Oscars are like in the credits. This is a pivotal moment in the movie. the Natu Natu song. So
Mhm.
it matters more than a lot of them. Like the Lady Gaga one that'll get nominated. Sure, it's a good song, but you don't hear it until all the planes are flying at the end.
Mhm. Yeah,
So I
it's a
mean,
credit song, just like the Rihanna song, "Lift Me Up,"
yeah,
which I voted that one for this Critics Association of Central Florida because it's just so beautiful and it really makes you feel like obviously with the passing of Chadwick and everything, I just thought it was a really appropriate and well done song that I listen to all the time.
yeah. And my pick now that I have it,
Mm.
Mia Goth for Best Actress, especially for Pearl.
Good pick, yeah.
That would be amazing.
We know it won't. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
the same
we're
thing because
positive it won't.
I mean, Toni Collette in 2018 should have got a nomination and a fucking win for Hereditary. Like every time I go back and watch that dinner scene with her
Mhm,
just going off on her son, it's some of the most impactful acting, period, almost in any movie, because it's
mhm.
just so emotional and it's some of the best acting that will never get nominated by these stupid Academy.
Hmm. Yeah, that race specifically, like that specific Best Actress race in 2018. Do you remember who won that off the top of your head?
I'm trying to remember. No, not right off the top of my head. Was it Olivia Colman?
Olivia Colman from The Favorite, who you could argue isn't even the lead of that movie. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting here polling for Lady Gaga and Elsie Fisher, who didn't even get nominated. But no, every time that the Oscars social media page tweets like, "Oh, remember how cool Hereditary was?" I'm like, "Do you know how cool Hereditary
The
was?"
same thing as like earlier this year, they were talking about X and everything. I'm like, shut up. You're not gonna fucking even talk about X when the awards come around, even though it's in my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
It irritates me so much because there are movies that, like in horror, that are some of the best things in horror of the year that will never get talked about in any award show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think some other things I'm looking for would be Nope. I hope that gets a Best Picture nomination, which it won't. The Batman won't get score. It was not on the short list, but that should. It won the Critics Association of Central Florida's best score. But I'm hoping Babylon gets that. I really hope Babylon gets a Best Picture nomination because I think it's really close at this point.
Yeah, it seems like the discourse, there's such weird discourse on Twitter about Babylon of people not like saying it's a bad movie and stuff, which I don't really get, but I guess
Mm-hmm.
it's more because we can relate to it more, especially because we love filmmaking so much and
Mm-hmm.
have seen behind the scenes stuff to a certain extent, so we know how shit works. Maybe that's it, but honestly, I just thought it was a really fun movie. The runtime, maybe that's defeating people, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, other than that, though, enough about last year. Let's move on to 2023. That's the year we are in now, and we're gonna play a fun little game that I came up with. That's gonna a fun little thing that we're gonna keep track of throughout the year. So here are the rules. It's basically like a most anticipated top 10 list, but with a little caveat. So we are going to draft movies back and forth, movies that come out in 2023, specifically blockbusters, because the rule of the game is we're going to add up the Rotten Tomato scores from all of the movies that we draft, and whoever has a higher total score wins. The caveat, though, is for the Rotten Tomato score to count, the movie has to gross $100 million domestically, which last year, 18 movies grossed $100 million domestically, 17 if you don't include Spider-Man No Way Home, which is a 2021 release, because it carried over, just like how Avatar is going to make $100 million in 2023. But yes, so we're going to go back and forth choosing blockbusters. They are incentivized to choose blockbusters because they're going to make more money. Like, I don't think the Mario movie is going to be very good, but I know it's going to make $100 million, so I'm incentivized to pick it. So I came up with the game. So I am going to let you go first, and we're going to just back and forth here. Let me pull up my list real quick,
My handy dandy notebook right here.
and I can write names
So,
down.
question.
Yes.
We don't want to duplicate each other. Is that what we're
We
trying to
can't. So
do?
like once you take one, I can't take it.
Okay, cool.
Like if you choose Mario, I can't take Mario. So then throughout the year, when we do an episode about Mario, we'll be able to update. Oh, okay, so this is added to the total score, and here in March or April, that's an April movie. In April, the score is currently 217 to 3. Because I picked Mario, and Mario only got 3% of Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't see that happening, but yes.
No, I
Mario
completely agree.
Mario has stands.
All right, so are you ready to go?
I am ready to go. So the first pick of this 2023 draft.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? This is a hard one. I'm gonna pick because it's gonna be his last run in the MCU because he's the big man at Warner Brothers now, DCU. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is coming home to Steve.
Mm-hmm. Is this one also on your top 10 most anticipated list?
It is my number
Like just
one
in
on my
general?
anticipated list. Absolutely. It comes out
Mhm.
on my birthday. I'm so excited about it. I mean, the second one came on my birthday, I believe, too, my 18th birthday. And this one's coming out on my 27th birthday. That's gross.
All
So
right.
I'm very excited about it, and I feel like that's definitely going to be a huge box office. The Guardian, I mean, the Rotten Tomatoes is going to be off the charts for sure. Everyone loves these movies. Maybe not the second movie as much as the first, even though I know you and I both love the second movie. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be really cool, so I can't wait for it.
I also have Guardians of the Galaxy, my most anticipated top 10 list. I think it's in the top five, if not like number three. I think that's a great pick. It was actually number one on my board that I have, so I'm very jealous. But I do think that there's two movies that I'm like head to head. Could either one could be number one? And I'm gonna do a movie that I actually worked on today quite a bit. Uh, Across the Spider Verse, Spider-Man Across the Spider Verse. I
Oh,
think that that's going to be an absolute hit. The first one was this one instead of being December, it's a June release, so we got a prime summer release here. You're going to get the kids out there to go see it as well as the adults, so it's a guaranteed $100 million movie right there, and it's going to be great. Phil Lord and Chris Miller, I trust them with everything, and I think this movie's going to be hot.
absolutely. I was literally going back and forth between Guardians and Spider-Man right there because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan as well. I saw Spider-Verse 3 times theatrically, actually. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so excited, and yes, it's gonna bring out so many people, adults, kids. I mean, a lot of people, including myself, cite this one. It's tied with me as being my favorite Spider-Man movie with Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire one.
Mm-hmm.
It's so damn good. It's the perfect Spider-Man story, in my opinion, and I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do with this one.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I go back and forth with this and Spider-Man 2 all the time. I mean, my personal favorite Spider-Man 3, but we don't talk about that. So go ahead. Where we both are Marvel fanboys here. You are up with the third pick in this draft.
All right. I think that I am going to have to go. I don't want to go another Marvel right away.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's such an
So,
easy bet, right? Because you know they're
exactly.
gonna do it. You know.
But another easy bet. It's family. So I'm gonna go Fast X.
Okay.
It's Fast and Furious. They are always gonna make all the money. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about family. It's gonna be the last one? Question mark?
Mm-hmm.
Is it gonna be the last
No, no,
one?
no, 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 no. There's at least one more. I know that.
Are they going to go more into space? We won't know until we see it, but I'm excited. I have no idea what the story is even going to be, but they're going to bring back all the characters guaranteed. Vin Diesel's going to do some crazy shit with some cars, and Tyrese Gibson's going to try to make a paycheck, and it's going to be fun.
And I guaranteed 100 million. That's a very safe pick right there. It was number 15 on my list, just because I don't think that they do too well on Rotten Tomatoes, and especially with all the hubbub behind the scenes, I'm a little afraid of that. But
But they
I
added they added the box office queen Brie Larson in there too, so
yeah, and Momoa, that's what I'm really excited
I
about.
forgot about Momoa.
And no,
Yeah.
it will make 100 million. I'm very excited. I'll be there day one. I'm a big Fast head, even though Fast Nine was like a mid Fast movie for me.
Yeah.
But I'll be there. My second pick, I'm gonna go with also a non-Marvel movie. I'm gonna stick in the summer. I think all of ours have been the summer so far. But let's go, girls. I'm gonna go with Barbie.
Damn
Greta
it.
Gerwig. I think that we haven't seen a Barbie movie be super successful, but with all of the it's been an insane amount of anticipation and hype for this movie. It's Greta Gerwig. The cast is fantastic. It looks perfect. Just look at the color pink on that poster, and you just know that they're going to nail it. And you're going to get the girls out there, and I would bet that the boys would rather see this than go see Oppenheimer. I mean, they're going to see both in the same weekend, but they're going to see Barbie, and it's going to make 100 million, and I cannot wait. And also, a movie that's in my top 5 most anticipated of the year.
Same, both, all of that repeated just the same.
Mm.
And just adding to it, Ryan Gosling, of course, the hottest man alive, is going to be in there. We have
Mm.
Margot Robbie, Greta Gerwig. Little Women's like one of my favorite movies in the last few years. She's just a fantastic director. And I mean, like you were saying, I'm gonna buy a ticket for this before I even think about seeing Oppenheimer. And honestly, spoiler alert, I'm not even really thinking about drafting Oppenheimer for this list just because I know the Rotten Tomatoes will get it, but will it break that 100 million? I don't know. I think
Mhm.
Barbie's gonna dominate that box office right there, and it's gonna be hard for him to try to crawl out of it. So it's gonna be fun. But yeah, Barbie all the way, and I'm really sad that you took this.
Mhm. Well, you are up. We are tied 2-2 right here.
All right.
Also, Spider Verse is in my top 5 most anticipated as well. I think it's number 5, and Barbie's like number 2. I think.
Yeah, I want to say Spider-Man was my number 3 and Barbie was 4.
Mhm.
But now that Barbie's gone, you
Yeah,
know,
I'm so nervous.
another guy that really runs away with box offices sometimes and attracts a lot of people with all the crazy stunts that he does. I think I'm gonna go with Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I
Mission
think that's going to
Impossible.
attract a lot of stuff. I mean, Fallout is one of my favorite theatrical experiences that I've had for sure, just of how big that is. And yeah, I think a lot of people are pretty excited to see what comes next in the series, and it's going to attract a lot of people. And everyone's gonna want to see Tom do that big ass stunt on that big screen. So money built in. It's probably going to make more money overseas, probably, but domestic, it's going to break that 100 million for sure.
Mhm. So forgive me. I've seen Fallout and I've seen Rogue Nation. Both of them in actually no Fallout I saw at home, but I think I saw Fallout with you, didn't I?
Maybe.
Yeah, in your apartment. I'm like 90% sure that's
Oh,
where I watched it.
yeah, I definitely bought it on Blu-ray by then. Yeah.
And they're both really good. They're great action movies. I'm just not a huge action guy, but I'll be there and I'm gonna rewatch or not rewatch, but I'll rewatch those two. But I'm gonna watch the whole franchise. I almost threw on the first one the other night, but it's definitely something I want to start embarking on. And that was actually my number 7. So that was actually one that stings a little bit because I know, especially after that, the Top Gun hype. Ooh.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone's in it, and they played that trailer a lot in IMAX of him doing that huge jump on his birthday or whatever too. That they built this huge ass fucking ramp for the movie, and he did it on
Mhm.
like his 60th birthday or whatever the hell he is, or 70th. He's old, but he does crazy shit still, and people want to see the crazy shit on the big screen. So he's gonna run away with it. With Mission Impossible, maybe don't start. Maybe start at like 3. I don't really like the first 2 movies that much. They're kind of hit and miss, but once he gets to like 3 and 4, I think 3 is the one directed by J.J. Abrams.
I was just about to ask. Is that the one with Philip Seymour Hoffman?
I think either 2 or 3 is Philip Seymour Hoffman. I can't remember. I haven't seen 2
That's
in a
what I'm
long
excited
time,
about. That's what I
but
want.
1 is not very good.
hmm So for my third pick, I am going to go with the movie that I'm not particularly too hype about, but I'm going to play smart because I'm aiming more towards box office than quality here for sure. But I want to go out to an early lead. So Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, it's going to be a hit. It's going to make so much money, and it's Marvel, so at very worst, it's going to be like what their worst movie's like a 60, like or like I think a 56 from Eternals is actually the lowest. Because Thor:
Yes.
The Dark World's like a 66.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Yeah. So I mean, the trailer's awesome because of the goodbye yellow brick road. I like Bill Murray. I've heard some people say it's the Thor Ragnarok of the Ant-Man franchise, and I've heard some people say that it's like, Marvel jumping the shark finally. And I've heard other people saying it's
Well,
the beginning of the next Kang dynasty.
Well, they're doing a lot of cool stuff that I actually enjoy, like some of the stuff they showed in the trailer, the Modoc face thing. Like I know a lot of people are
Oh
critical
my
of it, but it
gosh.
looks
Yeah.
exactly like it does in the comics, and they're staying true to that style, which I personally really enjoyed. So
hmm
it looked goofy, but it's supposed to look goofy, and that
hmm
kind of stuff kind of makes me a little bit more hopeful. But yeah, I'm not that like I'm not really running out to the theater for this one. I do already have a ticket for it for the first Saturday it comes out, but that's just to see it with my brothers. I'm excited, but not like holding my breath over it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be there, but like, you know what I mean? I'm so drained. But yeah, so that was my number 4. So we
I
both
think
have 3 picks now, and
I
Steve,
think
you
this
are
is
up.
my next one. You know, I think I'm gonna play it safe with box office and hope that the Rotten Tomatoes gets there, but it has a lot of controversy around it, and I'm gonna go with The Flash.
Woo!
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna pay off for me or not, but Andy Muschietti's a great director. I have a feeling that a lot of people are gonna dig whatever happens in this movie just because there's so much going on with like the Michael Keaton stuff that's apparently in there, and so much different things that is gonna play with the whole DC universe. I think it's gonna attract a lot of people for that box office for sure. But the only thing I'm kind of
Mhm.
hesitant on is it gonna get that Rotten Tomatoes, especially with are people gonna review bomb it because they fucking hate Ezra Miller? That's gonna be a
Mhm.
thing that could maybe affect it, but I'm hopeful that this is going to be a good movie. It has a lot of controversy, but is it going to do well? I hope. Fingers crossed.
No, I love that pick because it's such a risky, bold pick because it's a superhero movie. So you're like, yeah, it's gonna do well, and it's probably DC's. Actually, I have a DC movie ranked higher on here, which doesn't tell you much because there's 2 other DC movies, but I have them all in a row. Like, because this is my
Yeah.
number. Flash is my 12. The other one's 11, and the other one's 13. So clearly, I don't have too much faith in DC, but I cannot wait for this movie. We have talked about this movie so much, and
Hmm.
it just seems insane that it's even being released. So I think that's a really fun pick right there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, people are going to talk about it in the media, especially the more it comes up and the more sooner we get to that date. So the box office, I feel like, is going to be a lock. It's just a matter is the quality going to be there?
And that was my 10th most anticipated movie of the year until I saw the poster for 65. And I have no idea what it's about, but I just saw Adam Driver with a gun and like a dinosaur behind him. And I was like, yes.
Hey, if you're
But
sold by that, that's cool. I just now saw the trailer for that the other day. I still have no idea what it's about, but Adam Driver kind of sells me on most things.
yeah, I will avoid the trailer. I'm gonna be there. So I think for my next one, I should go with my head, but I am gonna go with my heart here a little bit. Because I think the Rotten Tomato score for this one's gonna be really, really good. I just don't know for sure if it's going to make $100 million domestically, but Dune Part 2 is my 9th ranked movie on here. Like I said, I'm a little worried about the box office, but with like Florence Pugh and Austin Butler joining the cast, and Christopher Walken as well, like Timothy Chalamet is a pretty big star at this point. It's going to get a lot of great word of mouth from the first one. And I think it's going to be like that, like explosion of, how like the Lord of the Rings, the first one, got a lot of nominations, didn't win too much. Second one, same thing. And then third one, they were like, all right, legacy pick, here you go. Let's give you a bunch of Oscars. I think that they might do that with this if it's the huge finale that we expect it to be.
Yes, and jumping on that, I think the word of mouth from the first movie should help the box office too, because I feel like a lot of people just loved it, myself included. Didn't actually get to see it in a theater, had to watch it at home on HBO, but still really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to watch this next one. The only
Mhm.
thing that strikes me, and the only reason that I didn't even have it on this list, is because it's Denis.
Ah.
It's Denis, and I love Denis. Denis is one of my
Mhm.
favorite directors of all time, but his movies do not make money in the movie theater, unfortunately. Blade
Mhm.
Runner 2049 didn't do anything, but it got nominations when it came around time for people to like say that it's such a great movie and everyone loved it, but no one went to go see it. The same thing
Mhm.
with like Sicario didn't have very high box office either, did it? Even though it's like a fantastic movie. And
You're right. Well, it had
Prisoners,
a good enough box office that they did a sequel, The Day of Soldado, or something like that.
which I do enjoy as well. I actually saw that one theatrically, but and
Mhm.
Prisoners too. I mean, Prisoners got all the award acclaim, but I don't think it's even really talked about still today as being like a
I
popular movie
talked
that
about it
everyone.
today. I
So
brought
did
it up.
so did I actually because I was watching a video about Paul Dano.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think like unfortunately Denis just doesn't. I don't know why because he makes such great movies and everyone says they love him, but no one
Mhm.
wants to go see his movies on the big screen.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's why I was really hesitant about it but you know that Rotten Tomatoes score is going to be 90 plus. So I just, especially after the bad taste in my mouth that like Ant-Man Quantumania gave me in picking that, I was like, you know what, Dune.
I need to balance the quality.
Yeah, so go ahead. You are up. This is your fifth pick in the draft. Just to catch everyone up, Steve currently has Guardians 3, Fast X, Mission Impossible, and Flash. I am with Spider-Verse 2, Barbie, Ant-Man 3, and Dune 2. You are up for your fifth pick.
All right.
Some good stuff out there still.
Yeah, there's a few things that I'm still anticipating a lot, but I just don't know if I want to make the pick. You know what? Super Mario Brothers.
Thank God you took it. I didn't
You're
want
coming
to.
home. I know. And I don't want to that much either, but I'm holding faith in this movie. I have fun with it. I enjoy the trailers for the most part. Yeah, Chris Pratt's not my first choice as Mario, but I feel like he's gonna be okay. I feel like the rest of the cast is gonna carry it for him, especially with like Charlie Day as Luigi, just makes me so happy. And like Keegan Michael Key as Toad, like all and Jack Black as fucking Bowser. This is such fun cast in here that one moment's not gonna really shadow it all for me. And from what I've seen so far, the animation looks pretty awesome, which Illumination is kind of okay at, but as long as they don't do the fucking goofy humor that Illumination likes to do too much and stay true more to Mario, I'm excited for it. And I feel like the only thing that might hold this whole thing back is the Rotten Tomatoes, because the box office is a lock. People are going to take their kids. Mario is a top selling video game like every year for the most part, I think. So it's going to happen. It's just a matter of the same thing I kind of had the feelings on with some of my earlier picks. Are people going to review bomb it because they're so mad and they don't want Mario to blah, blah, blah? I don't know. But in my opinion, I think it's going to be an okay movie. So I'm kind of hopeful.
I admittedly am a known hater of the Super Mario Brothers movie coming out here. Chris Pratt's casting is disgusting. There's some cool stuff in there though, and I think the thing that might sway me is the director of the movie previously directed one of my favorite movies of all time, Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
I did not
there's
even
some
know
hope
that was.
there.
I did not know it's the same director, but yeah, Teen Titans Go to the Movies was a surprise hit for me, especially. I
Not
went
at
and
the
saw
box office, but
yeah, and that was a shocking thing to me too. Is I went and saw that by myself when I still lived in Florida, and that showing was sold out. But I was the one laughing over all the children in that theater because I had a ball with it. So if it's anything like that, and especially if he can nail that kind of humor with Mario, I feel like this could be a really, really fun movie, especially now that I know that.
No, after this conversation, I'm a little bit more jealous. But yeah, that was my sixth overall, so I was a little afraid of that. So for my fifth pick, I'm going to take a movie that is also going to leave a bad taste in my mouth, but I'm actually very excited about this. Just how I was excited about Avatar 2, because I was like, well, they heard all the criticism about the first one, so maybe they will do some new stuff and alter it for this one. And it's a sequel to a billion-dollar movie, and it's in the MCU, so you know it's going to make money. I'm going to go, let's go, girls. That's my theme of this whole thing is let's go, girls. Give me the Marvels.
That was my next up in my ranking list. So of all the things that have been picked, that would have been so. I mean, I don't know if I would have picked it next, but yes, with this whole thing, Captain Marvel, it's grown on me since, especially when we lived in Florida and we got drunk and kind of started making fun of it that one time. Great time. But I think it's grown on me a little bit since then. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not the worst in the MCU by far. It's just I'm actually, and after seeing the Mrs. Marvel TV show, that makes me more excited for this movie because that show was really good. I loved how they kind of touched not only on the kind of touching on teenager side a little bit, but also touching on cultural differences and everything. Like they brought in all the different Indian, different heritage and things like that. That was really cool. So it's a matter of how all of these characters are going to be brought into this Marvel story. I'm not exactly sure, and how they're going to balance it all out. It's going to be interesting, but I'm excited for it. Like we were talking about earlier with Brie Larson being in Fast X, this is going to be her big movie other than Fast X of the year, and I think it should be fun. But why did you pick it?
Because it's going to make $100 million. And it's
And
the
you like
MCU,
it?
so it's going to make a certain amount of money. I mean, I'm a defender of the first movie, to a little bit. Like I think it's boring as all hell, but I like Brie Larson. I like the character of Captain Marvel. I think they nailed the look. And like I said, I think Nia DaCosta is a really great director, and I think she did Candyman, and I think that they are going to learn from their previous mistakes. And it's got a prime July release date, so I think that this movie's going to succeed, and I want to be there when it does, so that I can at least be happy about it. So, Viva la Marvel!
Yeah, I
Go
think it'll be
ahead.
fun. I think it'll be a fun one.
So upset. Like, go ahead.
You know, I think I want to. Do I want to take another big leap, or do I want to play it safe?
Mhm.
You know,
I'm just gonna pick every movie that I'm hating on this year.
I'm gonna pick a movie that is honestly one of my most anticipated movies, and just one that I really wanted to do it. And it's a part of a big franchise, but I just don't know if it'll get that big box office like I'm hoping for. But Creed 3. Creed 3 is one of my most anticipated movies and has been for years. Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut. I
Hmm.
mean, we're even getting the guy that we even talked about from Ant-Man and the Wasp, little
Hmm.
little crane action or whatever his name is, I forget.
Kang.
Kang.
Krang
Yes.
is the guy from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Oh,
who
don't
lives in the
worry. Don't
tunnel.
worry. That might pop up again. But yes, I'm so excited for that. Michael B. Jordan. Creed 2, honestly, is a fantastic movie too. I don't know if you've caught it yet.
I have to catch up.
So definitely catch up on that because the Creed movies, I think I like the Creed movies more than I like the Rocky movies. Like I would watch Creed 1 and Creed 2 before I'd honestly go back and even watch Rocky 1. Blasphemy, I know, but and I'm
Mhm.
so excited to see what Michael B. Jordan does in that directorial chair. And I think the box office, I don't know the box office on the first two movies. I saw them in theaters. I think they're at least
So-
I think they're at least 100 million, I would hope, but
Mhm.
the box office and the Rotten Tomatoes, I've got to feel like they're a lock for both. So I'm
Mhm.
hopeful, but I don't think they're going to be as big as some of these other ones.
Mhm. I mean, I'm a little jealous of that. It wasn't what I thought you were going to say. But with what you said previously about the movie you were picking, it's number 17 on my list. I need to catch up on Creed 2. I really like the first one. I probably will catch up on all the Rocky movies as well. I've only seen the first. But I'm excited for Michael B. Jordan. I'm excited for Jonathan Majors. And it looks really good.
Yeah. I mean, the boxing in these movies alone is some of the best on film I've ever seen. So they
Mhm.
pay close attention to that kind of stuff. And I think that might attract more of the sports audience too, that might not have even been around for the Rocky movies like ourselves. So hopefully that it boosts up some stuff.
Mhm. All right, so Creed is your sixth pick in the draft. I am going to take the movie. It's written in the stars. I'm going to take the movie I thought you were going to say, which has a lot of the similar attributes about it to what you said about Creed 3. A movie I'm also against, The Dial of Destiny, Indiana Jones. I do not like that an elderly old man who in real life probably couldn't throw a punch
But
is starring in an action movie.
he can crash a helicopter.
He can, and he can hurt himself walking off of the ramp of the Millennium Falcon.
Yep.
But it's brand name recognition. It's Disney. It's got a Prime, isn't it? Like a July 4th weekend release date.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like how many times can I roll my eyes while I talk about this? Go ahead. You're probably more excited about it. Go ahead and talk about it.
I mean, honestly, I'm not. Like, I'm not a huge Indiana Jones guy. I've only seen the first one. I don't think I even saw the first one until we got to film school and I had to watch it for school. But
Mhm.
the only one I saw before that, like all the way through, was unfortunately fucking Crystal Skull. So I'm not a huge when I think of Harrison Ford, I'm Han Solo 100%. Like Indiana Jones is kind of an afterthought, but I'm excited for it for sure because just like I like the stories and I like adventure movies and I think it'll be fun in that aspect. And the director is a great director, so there's always that.
James Mangold, I'm really excited. Now it looks beautiful. It's still got has that like indie charm. I am a big indie guy, and I don't even mind. I mean, it's the worst one by far, King of the Crystal Skull, because nobody wants to watch an old man do an action movie, and that was back in 2008, like 15 years ago. Cool. Uh, I'm really bitter about this movie even existing. Like, I genuinely would rather them either continue with Shia LaBeouf or recast it as anyone else. I don't care. Do a prequel like
With
way back in the
Mario?
day or something. I don't know. Just but it'll make money. And Indiana Jones is fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's just not something that I grew up with.
Mhm. All right, go ahead. You are on your seventh pick. We're getting to the nitty gritty here, and the further
Yeah.
along we go, the more interesting it gets because it's less obvious, you know.
Yeah. I want to do another you know, I'm gonna go with one that is a sequel. It's a superhero movie, and I've been excited about it, and it was supposed to come out in 2022, and it got pushed back, and it is Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Mm-hmm.
Now we saw Shazam together when I lived in Florida, and it was a very fun time. I think I
Mm-hmm.
drank beer during that and I had to piss like 3 times, but it was a really fun movie. And I love everything about it. I mean, I think I still even have the poster in my room actually, like that we got at that showing, but it's
I
a
do too.
fun, yeah, it's a fun movie. They have more people coming in for the cast. I can't remember everyone's coming in, but there's a lot of other different characters they're bringing in. In the first one, I don't, it made 100 million. I mean, it's a DC movie. I feel like
It was a
with
hit.
that
It was definitely a hit.
with that alone, David S. Sandberg being a great director, he brings in a little bit of horror in there too. But these are fun popcorn movies, and I think the other one especially got more attention after it made home release too. So I think it's going to attract enough. And I don't know the Rotten Tomatoes score on the first one, but
I
Zachary
think it's like a
Levi's
70, 80, something like that. Like it was good, you know.
Zachary Levi's a lovable guy, so I feel like that's going to attract more people too, and people love to see a goofy superhero.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's a really good pick. You're definitely the DC. You took over the majority of the DC shares. I took over the majority of
I'll
the
say
Marvel
you
shares,
grabbed the
though.
Marvel early, so I had to come back.
So I'll be the DC hater this year because you can have the other one as well. But no, I'll be there. I'm just sick and tired of the Shazam trailer. I recognize that the movie's not for me. I know I act like a 12-year-old a lot, but like I don't know. It's just I've seen the trailer a million times. I'm so sick of it, and I think it's cute in general. But I haven't rewatched the first one since we watched it, and even though I really liked it, I think it's a 4-star movie. But I think Warner Brothers is in shambles, and besides Dune and Barbie, I'm really trying to avoid their slate because after them pushing back Shazam, I don't trust them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
Warner Brothers right now has made some of the worst decisions I think that almost any of the big companies have, especially when it comes to their doing with HBO Max and their Discovery slate and just deleting stuff and literally just canceling movies
hmm.
without any notification to the directors half the time and just really dirty, nasty things. So if you don't have to support Warner Brothers and you feel strongly, don't, because they don't deserve your money. Disney
No,
deserves your money more than Warner Brothers, and that's
that's
not
bad.
that's pretty
That's
bad.
bad.
But
Um,
with my next pick,
wait, you just picked.
did I just pick? Oh,
Yeah,
my
you
bad.
just picked
Yeah, that was
Shazam.
my bad. You're Shazam.
No, you're good. You trust me. You can take whatever you were going to take next because I'm going to take a movie you already said you're not going to take. Oppenheimer is going to be a hit. I mean, all the old people are going to go see it. It's going to have legs. It's going to have great word of mouth. It's Christopher Nolan, so it's going to have a great Rotten Tomatoes score. That cast is absolutely fantastic. It's going to look beautiful. I'm sure that it's going to be a really serious movie. I'm sure that women will not have much agency in it, as any Christopher Nolan movie does. I've actually now seen every Christopher Nolan movie after seeing Following, and I'm pretty sure the woman in that movie is named Woman. So don't worry, ladies. I took Barbie number 2 overall. So, and I'll
Yeah.
be there. So, but I'll also be at Oppenheimer right after, you know?
Yeah, I that wasn't even on this list, and
Hmm.
honestly, I think it's bold of you to pick because I don't trust it.
I fair
I
game because Tenet, well, which Tenet was a special circumstance, but I bet Dunkirk at least flirted with $100 million, and I think Oppenheimer's got a lot of hype around it and a bigger cast than Dunkirk.
yeah, I think I'm also just not as big on Christopher Nolan as the regular man,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't trust him as much. Like Dunkirk's fine, but if you can hear the movie, that'll be a good thing too. But yeah, with that box office though, that is the thing that I'm really worried about because the women and the children are not gonna go see Oppenheimer, and those are big. Those are big box office things that you need to encounter or need to think about when you're thinking about box office. The women and the children are all going to go run to Barbie, and I'm going to be with the women and the children because I want to see Barbie so bad. I hope they accept me because it's going to be a great time. But I'm
You
going to see
forget
Oppenheimer.
old people. They're going to be like, I remember when this happened back in the day.
But old people were also around when Barbie came out, so the old women are going to drag their old men away from Oppenheimer because they don't have a say in anything.
You're forgetting, because my theater, I already talked to the GM, that Oppenheimer is going to get the higher formats, like the RPX, IMAX, and bigger formats like that. So that and Dune, that was a big factor for me.
That is true.
Mhm.
I feel like that could definitely, I mean, but I don't know. I think the Barbie strength and the Barbie word of mouth and the Barbie promotion might overtake even the big box office when it comes to IMAX and RPX and everything.
Well, Barbie was my 2. So this is like my 7, you know?
Yeah, you definitely undercut me there because I was gonna go for Barbie, but I waited too long.
But you are up, my good sir. Your 8th pick. You have 3 left.
Hmm.
Most of these have been summer movies. I think the few that haven't have been Ant-Man, Creed, Mario, and Dune.
No, let me just look at one thing real quick before I make this pick because
Oh gosh, this is
I
gonna get
don't
so tight here, dude.
I think this is what I'm gonna do. And it's a ballsy pick, I think,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one that I'm going to see very soon, and it's a movie that I'm so excited about, and we talked about it a little at the beginning. I'm gonna pick Scream 6. I think it's gonna oh, you were thinking something else.
I thought you were gonna be mean.
Oh
No, but go
yeah.
ahead, Scream
No.
6. Go ahead, talk
No, no,
about
no.
Scream
I'm picking
6.
I'm picking mine because I was gonna wait to pick this one because I figured you probably weren't even in the ballpark of it at least.
It's on my list. It's number 26 out of 27 movies I was considering.
Yeah, I just really wanted to pick it because I'm pretty hopeful. I mean, the last one I just had to look it up. It made 140 in the box office, which isn't a lot, but I feel like this one, especially with that first one kind of getting the attention, and the marketing for this one seems to be really well so far. And they're bringing characters back from the early series, like Kirby from Scream 4. So they're bringing back not Nev Campbell, but they're obviously bringing back Courtney Cox, and there's a lot to be told still in the story. So fans of that are going to come back, and I think slasher fans, especially Jenna Ortega being the big star that she is right now, is going to bring in bigger box office, especially with Wednesday coming out on Netflix being a huge, huge cultural icon, especially with fucking TikTok and all that. So I feel like that alone could bring in a lot, and there's not a whole lot in the theater, especially with it coming out in April. Well, no, is it coming out in February? It comes out in February, right?
March 10th, I think.
March 10th. Yeah, I knew it was either late February or early March. So yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot around it at that time either.
No, I think that's a good solid pick. I think obviously it's a very popular franchise, and especially with the New York aspect, and the last one had such good reviews. And Jenna Ortega, oh my God. So I think that's a solid pick. It's on my list, but it's low on my list, so I'm a little happy you took it. And I'm not going to take the movie you think I'm going to take. I am going to get my little slice of the DC pie. They love to have their little horror directors go make their big superhero blockbusters. And I know it's a December movie, so it has a very short window to make $100 million. But give me James Wan, 10 out of 10 days. Give me Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. I cannot wait to see what James Wan has in store for his last hurrah, I imagine, in this franchise. And yeah, I just wanted to be a part of the DC game a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. If I didn't go Scream, I was gonna go Aquaman. Just because
I felt like it.
that box office back then too, the first one was a surprise hit for a lot of people. I wasn't
Yeah,
expecting it to be as good as it was either, but I'm a huge James Wan guy. I'm very excited. Jason Momoa, love that man too.
a
There's just so
billion-dollar
much,
movie.
there's so much about this movie that's gonna be fun too, I think. I'm like the first one didn't leave me like needing more, but
Mhm.
I'm excited to see where it goes. And I don't know where the DCEU is going to go after all of this happens. So if this might be his last run as Aquaman, I hope he gets to have fun with it, and I hope it's a big, huge thing because it's one of the better series in the DCEU, I think.
And if yeah, so it has to make $100 million in this year. So if it crosses that threshold in January, I do not get this pick. Also, if it gets pushed back, sucks for me.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's
that
the
is.
risk that I am taking with this movie.
You are playing a dangerous game, so now I feel a little bit better about picking Screen.
But it's also not going to be have much competition because there's no Star Wars or Avatar this winter. So I'm pretty confident in its ability to make $100 million pretty quickly. His abs, you know.
Yeah, I feel like especially with that holiday release, you got a pretty good shot.
Yeah, but you are up, my good sir. This is your second to last pick.
All right.
Yeah, because this is your number 9 pick. We each get 2 more movies. I think I know which 2 I'm gonna go with, and I'd be surprised if you took either of these because one of them's a little risky and one of them's just like I'm just being as safe as I could possibly be.
Yeah. Let me just look one thing. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go another passion pick, even though it might not be. But no, it's a profit of last movie. John Wick Chapter 4.
That's on my
That
list.
movie, that movie is gonna make a ton of money. The third movie, Parabellum, I still talk about the theater experience I had with that one because I got to see it in Dolby down there and at the AMC. It was just so much fun. These movies are just full of violent action and retribution from Keanu Reeves. Yeah, he might not be the best actor out there, but for these movies and his fighting style and just so because he knows how to fight, it's all so authentic and you can see all of the fighting in camera rather than a bunch of quick cuts like you see in Marvel and a bunch of other action movies like the fucking Jason Bourne movies. I hate him so much. But yeah, these movies are just that. And people obviously love them. This is the fourth one in the series, and I don't think the box office has slowed down at all since they've started coming out. So Keanu's in there. I think you're selling big numbers regardless.
I have not seen the first 3. I need to. I think I started the first one and never finished it, but they get progressively longer because I think the first one's like a tight 101 minutes, and then it goes up to like 2
Honestly,
hours and 2 hours and 10.
progressively longer, but progressively better. And that's not a thing you can
Mm-hmm.
usually say about a series, but honestly, the third one is my favorite one so far, in my opinion. I don't know if that's the same for everyone, but in my opinion, they get better as they go on, which
Mm-hmm.
says a lot, I think.
Which I'm catching up on action franchises because I recently saw the first 3 Bourne movies, and then I need to watch the Mission Impossible. I need to watch Rocky and Creed, and I need to watch John Wick as well. So I have a lot of homework to do. But yeah, that was number 20 on my list. So it did make the top 20, which there's going to be 20 total movies taken. So my next pick, my 9th pick, my penultimate pick, will be a safe choice, a movie that I know is going to make $100 million, and it's Disney, so I'm sure that it's going to. Shut up! Oh gosh, um, the original is one of my favorite animated movies of all time, and
Oh,
I'm sure that The Little Mermaid is going to do very well at the box office. So
I
I'm
am
going to
not
take it.
judging. It's still on my list, and I was waiting to pick it.
Mhm.
I've been almost picking it a bunch of times, so
Yeah, it's my number 14 overall. So my top 15 choices have been taken. But I just know that it's going to be another like Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin situation where it's going to make a bunch of money and people are still going to like it. And but I'm sure it's going to have its haters like me. And but yeah, go ahead. Number 10, your last pick in the draft. Go ahead, buddy.
you know what? I'm gonna stick to my horror guns. Even though the first movie kind of sucked, it made a lot of fucking money. And this one probably is gonna make a lot of fucking money, and I'm gonna pick The Nun 2. It's
Oh,
my number
okay.
10 pick. Those movies make a lot of money. It might, and I have a feeling it actually is gonna be a good movie this time. I'm hopeful for that Rotten Tomatoes score. And I think Warner Brothers with their horror does a lot better with Warner Brothers with their superhero.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I really have to say about it. I don't know anything about the marketing material. I haven't watched anything, if there even is
Mm-hmm.
trailers yet or anything, but I just wanted to pick something that I could have picked. I almost picked Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was this close, but I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
pick The Nun too. I
It's
could be
not even on
wrong
my
here.
list.
but I
Teenage
feel like
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
it's Seth Rogen.
Oh, I'm excited about it. I'll be there, but it's not on my list. But I think that's a really safe pick. Warner Brothers, the James Wan universe. It's gonna make a lot of money. So I think I don't know if it'll make 100 million, but I think
Dude, the
it'll be
first
popular, and I
the
don't think the Rotten Tomatoes score will be very high.
yeah, that might be my thing, but I gotta look
Mhm.
up the box office for that first one because that movie made a lot of money.
Oh, I did no research whatsoever. I just went gut feelings.
Yeah,
I'll see it.
three
I'll
three
see
hundred.
the.
Okay, it's not showing up, but 365.6 million in the box office.
Yeah, it'll be popular. It'll make money. I don't know if Conjuring 3 will turn audiences off, but I don't think that they watched it on HBO Max when it
I
came
still
out. But
haven't. I watched the first half and I fell asleep and have not gone back since because didn't really
mm.
feel like it was even that scary. It put me to sleep.
Yeah, I hated it really, but I'm a big James Wan fan, obviously. I sang his praises earlier. But for my
Me too.
last pick, I'm gonna rattle off a couple movies that I'm not picking, but I have on my list. I had Transformers, the new one with
Same.
In the Heights. I have Wish and Elemental, which I'm not going to pick because I don't trust Disney to release them in theaters and advertise them properly. I have Wonka, a movie I'm personally excited about, the Paul King musical with Timothée Chalamet. Hunger Games doing a prequel. Magic Mike is doing a third movie. Dungeons and Dragons and Craven the Hunter all have brand name recognition, but I'm going to go with my heart here for my last pick, and I'm going to take my most anticipated movie of the year. M. Night is a force of nature, and you went horror. I wanted to go horror too, so I'm going with Knock at the Cabin. I cannot wait.
I've been waiting for you to pick this movie the whole time. I wasn't gonna pick it just because I knew you wanted him so bad, and I M Night is kind of a toss up sometimes.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm excited for this movie. Dave Batista. You have people like Jonathan, what the fuck is his name?
Groff.
Jonathan Groff. Just a fantastic cast. I mean, right when that trailer started, I didn't even, I shut it off immediately once I saw Dave Batista. It's like I don't want to know anything else. I want to go
Mhm.
into this as blind as possible. I was sold immediately, especially with M. Night's name attached to it. You're the way bigger fan of the situation, but I'm a
Mhm.
casual fan. I enjoy a lot of what he
Mhm.
does. I even like The Visit just a little bit. So
Mhm. I'm gonna
I'm ex-
marathon all of his movies before it comes out. I'm gonna love it regardless of how good it is, and I think it can make 100 million, especially in like February range. I mean, I have two February. I'm gonna come out to a pretty decent lead at first because I've got Ant-Man and Knock at the Cabin in February, but then you've got some March big guns with Mario. Mario's in April, but Creed 3. Uh,
Scream.
excuse me, and Scream and Shazam will all come out. So this is very exciting. Just to rattle it off,
Should have done
Steve picked
Trolls. I should have
oh
done
Trolls
Trolls.
3.
Trolls band together come out in 2023. I should have picked Trolls.
Damn it. So
Stupid
just to
nun.
rattle it
God
off,
damn it.
Steve has Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Fast X, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, The Flash, the Super Mario Brothers movie Creed 3, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, I think, Scream 6, John Wick Chapter 4, The Nun 2, and then I have on my list, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Barbie, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Dune Part 2, The Marvels, Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, Oppenheimer, Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, The Little Mermaid, and Knock at the Cabin. So we will be updating this throughout the year. I'm so excited for this game. I haven't played it in so long, and I'm pretty excited.
Yes. And before we get done with this, let's talk about Megan real quick. Since we
There we
talked
go.
about James Wan and our love for that man, he produced this movie with Jason Blum, and it is so much fun. I love this movie. If you saw the trailer and you saw the little dancing stuff with Megan and how silly it looks, if you're down to clown, that's what this movie is. It is as funny as it is terrifying.
Mhm.
She is the AI aspect. I'm personally terrified of AI and how it can basically possibly take over and make a brain for itself because kind of what AI is. It's
Mhm.
really creepy, and especially inside of this doll, which I'm also kind of terrified of dolls. All of that kind of worked for me in this amalgamation, and Yeah, there's a lot of comedy in here. We have people like I think it's Ronnie Chang who's in like The Daily Show and stuff like that. He's the boss of this tech company, and they're trying to create this doll that's going to make them a bunch of money in this little toy tech company. And they create this Megan and they test it on this girl who just lost her parents, and it just gets nuts.
Hmm.
It's a comedy. I mean, it kind of rides that line. It's the same screenwriter as Malignant that came out last year. I'm trying to remember her name, but she's a fantastic writer who just knows how to play with that line of goofy, but not too much where you lose the horror. And I mean, there are moments where even like I think
Akila Cooper.
yes, Akila Cooper, fantastic writer. There's even moments where like Megan starts singing Titanium.
Best part of the movie.
It is so and like it is unsettling, but it also is hilarious. It's just so many moments where it's like that, where you laugh, but you're also like she could turn in a second and just be the absolute most terrifying thing in the world. So with that
Mhm.
aspect and me being a horror fiend, I loved it.
It's currently at 73 million domestically. Would you have picked it if we've done this a month sooner?
Before seeing it, I wouldn't have. Because like
Mhm.
before seeing it, those trailers came out, I wasn't really sold that much on it, especially
Fringe.
being a January release. I was like, oh
Mhm.
God, is this gonna be a dumb, stupid horror movie that they release in January like all the time? But it exceeded my expectations so much that I rated it a 5 out of 5. Like I
Mhm.
loved it.
Yeah, I had a great time. It's a very good B horror movie. I think it works so much better as a comedy than it does a horror. But there are those people out there that like dolls freak them out, like seriously freak them out. I like doll movies because I think special effects wise, they're fun. And I thought that they did a good job representing this little girl as a robot doll. The TikTok dance, that was a hoot. The Titanium is one of my favorite movie moments of the year. It's actually my favorite movie of the year so far. I only gave it a 4 out of 5 because I don't think that it's like that great. But I think it has a decent amount to say. I really enjoy. Is it Allison Williams?
Yes.
I think she's fun in the movie. I really hope there's a sequel and they go even crazier with it, kind of like in an
Yeah.
Unfriended 2 kind of way.
They actually did announce a sequel already with the same both Allison Williams and the little girl are coming back, and Akilah Cooper is writing the sequel as well. So all of the returnings that we need, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think this is really good for the horror genre. I mean, my first thought was, wow, 2022 was such a renaissance for horror, the renaissance keeps going.
Yes, we continue on and we rally on, and I'm pretty hopeful. I mean, especially with Scream coming out, that trailer was pretty awesome in my opinion. So
Mhm.
I'm excited for this coming year. And tell us in the comments, what are your rankings? Give us your little top 10 down there of your box office rankings, and maybe we'll keep track of that too. And do you have anything you want to plug for yourself?
Hard reviews. I'm now not no longer deathly ill, so I'm going to be doing more videos soon with my hard reviews. Um, check me out on Letterbox, Adam Ryan 03. Thank you guys so much for watching us. Steve, what would you like to plug?
Yes, the Film Fan Reviews. I finally crossed that 100 subscriber mark, and go over there and subscribe some more and subscribe to this channel too for us. It would help us out a ton. And thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Keep watching movies.
Yes, watch all the movies you can, all the classics and everything.